will and desire of Yahuah or Alahym.
Shalom, 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 and welcome back to Submission is Her Posture. This is part 4 of Repentance on Display, No Unclean Thing. This is the warning and a word of encouragement to the body of Yahusha HaMashiach. I am Liarius Ka, a servant of Yahuah or Alahym, and I have been instructed to deliver this word of encouragement, and this is part 4. So if you haven't watched part 1 through 3, I highly encourage you to go back and to watch it. But we were reading from the book of Colossians. We read chapter 1. We read chapter 2, verse 1 through 3, and 6 through 12. And that's where we stopped. We stopped on verse 12 of chapter 2. And we're going to pick up right there. We're going to pick up at verse 18. But I'm going to start this video by giving all esteem and honor to Ab Yahuah by Shem Yahusha by way of Ruach Kodesh, the Ruach Kodesh of Yahuah. It is only by his favor and his mercy that I am here to be a servant for him, and a servant unto him, unto Yahusha HaMashiach, and to be a barakah to the body of Yahusha HaMashiach. Because in a world full of chaos, somewhere Yahuah has caused his light to shine. And so I just want to be obedient and deliver this word. As I mentioned in the last video, I am not a teacher, but I am a student of Yahusha HaMashiach, and I serve in the ministry of the path to Yahuah. So let's go ahead and start. We left off in Colossians 2nd chapter. The last verse we read was verse 12. And the note that I had said, let us be judged by the body of Yahusha HaMashiach. His works, his words, his power, his mind, his commandments. Let us be judged by this. Stay humble in Yahusha. Staying humble in Yahusha helps us to stay clean. As long as we abide in Yahusha, it's going to be a forever perfecting process until he comes. And as long as we stay firm and hold fast to his instructions, then we can be purified, we can be washed, we can be cleansed. It's at the moment that we become disobedient, that we become unaware, that we become deceived or distracted, and we can no longer hear the instructions, that we are led away into sin. And once we get there, before we even get to acting the sin out, we have already become unclean, because now we are heeding to other instructions that leads us away from him. So in order for us to maintain a clean and upright posture, we have to make sure that we're always in the posture of hearing his instructions, and not only hearing them, but obeying them. And if you don't have the fullness of understanding and obeying it, never lean to your own understanding. Never try to rationalize it. And this is something that Yahuah had to deal with me on in receiving instructions to give to specific individuals. I would try to rationalize something, but one thing that he had to rebuke me on is that the carnal mind will never be able to process the spiritual words that come from Yahuah. And this is why, as a vessel, we're just male men or male women. We're receiving a package and we're dropping the package off to its destination. It's up to that person to receive it, not receive it, understand it or not understand it, to despise it. Like, it's up to that person what they want to do with it. But it's only our job to carry the message. That's it. And until I come to this understanding, I found myself in situations where I just felt this burden because I was trying to process it. I was trying to rationalize with it. And in doing this, we water down the message that's supposed to be just delivered. That's literally it. Deliver it and go about our business. But when we do this, we trample upon it, we step on it, we just water it down. And that's not what Yahuwah uses a messenger for. It's literally to deliver and go about your business. And if he gives you, a word of encouragement to go along with it, so be it. Do what he says, do, add nothing more and take away nothing. And so for me, in coming to this understanding, I was able to keep myself pure in Yahusha HaMashiach. And when I say keep myself, meaning continue to be obedient and not have to struggle with what he's telling me to do, because I'm hearing the instructions. And for that which I don't understand, I'm going to him and I'm saying, Father, okay, who is this word for if I missed it in the instructions? When am I supposed to deliver it if I missed it in the instructions? Or is this for me? Is it just for me to glean, to process, to digest, for my own edification, for my own correction? These are the things that we get in Yahushua HaMashiach by the voice of Yahuwah through the Ruach Kodesh. And so when we stay humble in Yahusha, then we have access to everything we need and we're able to maintain a clean life, a clean life. So let's go over to Colossians, the 2nd chapter, and we're going to read verse 18. It says, let no one deprive you of the prize. One who takes delight in false humility and worship of messengers, taking his stand on what he has not seen, puffed up by his fleshly mind, and not holding fast to the head, from whom all the body, nourished and knit together by joints and by ligaments, grows with the growth of Elohim. This is why we have to stay humble in Yahusha. Anytime we start to feel ourselves rise up, this flesh rise up, we got to catch it. We got to catch it quick, because this flesh is quick. Before we know it, we could be off the path. In a blink of an eye, we could be off the path. One thought, one deceiving word, one image, one something that comes and enters into our ear. If we're not steadfast to catch it and to cut it down and to rebuke our flesh, then we can easily become puffed up and become prideful. And at that point, we're out of the body. The head is going to strike us down. He's not going to play. There's no leaven, nothing to be puffed up, to be prideful in the kingdom of Yah. So we have to get it now. We have to understand and practice this now. Because if not, we're not even going to it's like we're not even going to have to worry about what is or what isn't in the kingdom if we don't get this thing now, because we're not going to go in. We're going to be on the outside of the gate, just out. And we already know what the punishment of those who are out. And so we want to definitely strive to grow in the growth of Elohim. It says, if then you have died with Mashiach from elementary matters of the world, why, as though living in the world, do you subject yourselves to dogmas? Don't do it. Yahusha already warned us. Do you subject yourselves to dogmas? Don't do it. Yahusha already warned us. Don't be deceived and caught up in man's doctrine and their understanding, but stay humble in Yahusha. He's capable. He's been given the authority. He has everything that we need to get us to where we're going. Moshe had to strive with the people. The prophets had to strive with the people. The kings that were righteous had to strive with the people. Even when Yahusha came, he had to strive with the people. But the difference between Yahusha and everybody else that had to deal with the people of Elohim is Yahusha was given the power and authority. He's been authorized, and this is not to look down upon anybody else that Yahuah used, because they have purpose. And I'm personally grateful for their testimony, for their witness, because it's something that I can look at and I can glean from, and I can be encouraged, and I can know, I can be able to see the mistakes that they made and to be able to self-correct. And for the things I can't self-correct, I have the ability to go to Yahusha to help, ask for help. And so I'm grateful for everybody that was used by the Most High Yah, that pointed us to Yahusha. But ultimately, it is in Yahusha that we live, move, and have our being. And I'm going to keep saying that, because outside of Yahusha, you're just a dead man walking. You may be obtaining everything that this life have to offer. You may be calling on the name of Yahuah. You may be plastering his name over all of the things that you have. But at the end of the day, moving and living and being outside of Yahushua HaMashiach leads one to the lake of fire. They receive their reward in this life, and they die the eternal death in the life to come. So this is some notes that I wrote down. Walking out the instructions of Torah satisfies the flesh, but walking out the instructions of the Ruach satisfies the Ruach and forms us into the image of Yah through obedience. Torah is where we start, in the Ruach is where we start. In the Ruach is where we are made complete, whole, and filled with all shalom. Let me say this again. Walking out the instructions of the Torah satisfies the requirements of the flesh, but walking out the instructions of the Ruach satisfies the Ruach inside of us. And when I say satisfies, means build it up, matures it, makes it firm in Yahusha, and forms us into the image of Yahuah through obedience. Torah is where we start. In the Ruach is where we are made complete, whole, and filled with all shalom. Shalom is the completeness. It is the fullness. It is the wholeness of Ab Yahuah. It is his desire. It is his will. It is his plan. It is his purpose being filled and fulfilled in you. I think that is a beautiful thing to understand. And I use the word but between what satisfies the flesh and what satisfies the Ruach. Really, it should be and, because we're supposed to do both. They both, the Torah and the Ruach, oppose one another. They are one. They are not two different entities. They don't speak against each other, but they uphold one another. And this is how the fullness of man is held blameless unto the coming of Mashiach. It is when they master the flesh, tame the flesh, subdue the flesh by the Torah. But where their spirit man is built up is in the Ruachal instructions, in the matters of instructions, in the matters of the Ruach. This is where the heart is brought under the subjection of the word. This is where we become slaves, if you will, to righteousness. We're no longer slaves to sin and to darkness, but we're slaves to righteousness in the light of Yahusha. We're going to go to Colossians, the 2nd chapter, and we're going to read verse 20. Well, we just read verse 20 and 21. We're going to drop down to 22. It says, which are all to perish with use, according to the commands and teaching of man. So when we focus on the commands and teachings of men, these things perish. They don't satisfy our flesh and they don't satisfy our ruach. It's just something to look like we got it together. And I want to share this very briefly. Like, a person can be, quote unquote, keeping the commandments of the Torah on the outside, but when nobody is looking, they're struggling. They're struggling in their flesh, they're struggling in their mind, they're struggling in their heart. And that's because they lack the ruach. And so we can't lean to the Torah's instructions without the ruach. And we can't say that we have the ruach and not be able to master that which Yahusha Yahuah has given us in the Torah. They work simultaneously. They go hand in hand. The Torah instructions have purpose, great purpose. Like I mentioned, with the Torah instructions and the Ruach working simultaneously, is ultimately to bring us back into the image of Yah. Now we know that we're going to drop these earthly bodies, but we're going to obtain an esteemed body. But it's everything that we're doing is to build up that ruach that is within us, so that when we drop off with its experience that it has had in this life, and we're going to obtain the spiritual body that's going to match the spiritual body, and they can be one. They're not going to be at enmity against one another. And this is why we need the Torah, because the Torah is going to tame that flesh and let that flesh know you are in subjection to the ruach. But you see people that think that they have the ruach, but they still battle with anger, enviousness, jealousy, and all these different things in their flesh. They are easily triggered. They are easily manipulated. They are easily angered. They can go from 0 to 100. They can cuss you from here to June in a heartbeat. And that's because they have not tamed the flesh. They have not gained self-control over the flesh. And when we are truly keeping the feast days, this is why the feast and the Torah and everything that is within it is so profound, is because every cycle that we get to keep the feast, we're being shaped and molded into little Mashiachs. That's why we can't look at the feast like some type of party. Although it is a gathering where we come together and we worship Alahym for all that he has done for us, the harvests, and we worship him for just being who he is, how faithful he is, how merciful he is, how he has kept our family, he has provided, and he has fulfilled prophecy, and just everything that he has done for us. We do worship and we sing and we dance, and we may put on our best garments and things of that nature. But the other side of the feast is the ruach side of the feast. It's us understanding what the feast ultimately points to. Why is Yahuah even telling us to do these things? Because every feast points to Mashiach. And this is what it's all about. And I said this in part 1 and part 2 and part 3, and I'm going to say it again in part 4. It is in Yahusha we live, move, and have our being. It's always been through him. All of this that has been instituted through Adam, through Abraham, through Enoch, through Moshe, through the prophets, through the kings, through every man and woman that Yahuah has used in the scripture, all pointed to Mashiach. And Mashiach stated that. He said, I come in the volume of the book. If we search the scriptures and think that we have life in the scriptures, but we can't discern that our life is in Mashiach, we're sadly mistaken. We're under a strong delusion somewhere. We've missed the complete mark. We're not even aiming. We're somewhere way off the path. We can't even see the path. And so this is why it's so important that when those who wake up to this truth, the first thing you need to do is seek ye first the kingdom of Shamayim and all of its righteousness. It is Yahusha. Don't start with trying to dress the part. Don't start with trying to sound the part by mastering knowing all the scriptures. Don't try to get all deep in the Hebrew. Don't do any of that. The best thing that you can do is seek ye first the kingdom of Shamayim and all of its righteousness. It is in this you come to obtain all that you need to live a lifestyle of repentance. It is in this you obtain the thing that you need to be blameless until his return. It is in the seeking of the kingdom and the righteousness that we obtain every good gift stored up in the Shamayim. This is where we obtain our daily bread. This is where we obtain protection. This is where we obtain the things that we need for ourselves and for our families and for our neighbors. It is in the righteousness in the kingdom of Alahym. But this is also where we obtain wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. This is also where we get to understand and know the fear of Yahuah. This is where we get to know and understand and obtain his will, his plan, and his purpose for our life. So that we're not out here just aiming pointlessly. I want to write a book. For what? Did Yahuah tell you to write a book? I want to rap. I want to sing. Did Yahuah tell you to sing? I want to be a teacher. I want to wake up the nation. Did Yahuah tell you to do that? Because for all we know, Yahuah could tell you, I want you to be a tent maker. I want you to learn how to make curtains. I want you to learn how to make I don't know, something we're going to need in the wilderness. But yet you're so gung-ho on what people are telling you to do in society. Oh, go be a doctor, go be a lawyer, go be this, go be that, to obtain this system that you can't even perceive. There is a system that is already in place to govern you. There is a place in which is being prepared for you to function in. But if you don't gain the necessary skills that you need now in Yahusha HaMashiach, you're not going to be able to function in that kingdom. You're not going to be able to function in that system. And so we must start this thing in learning how to maintain our cleanliness or learning how to become clean in Yahusha HaMashiach. And this starts with seeking the kingdom of Yah and all of its righteousness. I pray that what I have shared thus far is encouraging you and that it is definitely a warning to you, because this is what we're going to need to make it through the times that are approaching us very, very soon. So I'm going to pause the video here and I'll be back soon. Until then, shalom, shalom.